What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I am going to be talking about how we can actually maintain a healthy, lean, toned physique year round. And I don't just mean a physique, but I mean your health. I mean how you feel. The reason why I say physique is because that's what most of you guys are chasing after and really wanting, because we tend to think of everything in terms of like how we look within our bodies, but I want to talk about, and I want you to think about as I'm speaking, the fact that we can not only maintain what we look like in terms of our bodies, but also our health, how we feel, and our energy and everything like that. So I'll get into that today, but it's going to be, this topic is going to be about how we can actually maintain our bodies year round. And I know that especially in the diet culture, there's this whole concept that most of us will get stuck in of this whole yo-yo cycle, right? We start a new diet and then fall off. We get and lose some weight and tone up for the summer, and then once winter comes along, we kind of let go and we may gain those 10, 15, whatever pounds, right? And so this is a cycle that most people go on. Oh, in the fitness industry, what I experience myself and what a lot of people go through is this up and down cycle of, I have to either be bulking or cutting. I have to be in a gaining season or a really strict toning up season. And bikini competitions, competition in general really is where a lot of this comes from. And so I want to talk about that today, and the fact that you can actually maintain a really healthy, lean, toned physique year round. So a lot of you guys follow me on social media. You see that, I'm doing my workouts, I'm eating my foods, and I look a certain way in my photos, right? I maintain a lean, toned physique year round, and a lot of people, they're just like, how do you do that? And that's what I want to talk about today. I will say that in my competition past, and in like whenever I was like hardcore, like in the fitness like scene, in terms of just following along with the crowd of what everybody else was doing, I did too get caught up in that kind of culture of either bulking or cutting and being super restrictive, or just like going balls to the wall with bulking. And I think I only did that like once, because I was really thought that I had to eat so much and gain a bunch of weight in order to gain muscle, which is just another topic for another time. But I have been in that cycle too, and I hated it. So how do we avoid the yo-yoing, right? How do I avoid the yo-yoing? A lot of people think, though, Alaina must just be on a diet 24/7 and be super restrictive 24/7 and be going hard, balls to the wall in the gym 24/7. And here's what I have to say about this. In order to maintain a lean, toned physique year round, in order to maintain your health year round, in order to avoid yo-yoing and going like on these highs and lows with your body, in order to feel in control, we have to stop thinking about our diet and exercise as something we're on or off. We have to start thinking about this whole thing as simply a lifestyle. You have to think of the way that you eat and the way that you exercise as a lifestyle. Otherwise, don't be surprised when you fall off track or whenever you gain the weight back. Do not be surprised. If you go about it as a diet, the results are going to last and be a reflection of that. That being said, there were a few specific things that I had to do in order to be able to effectively maintain and really keep this as a lifestyle without going all over the place and completely going crazy with food, or completely falling off with my exercise routine or whatever it may be. So number one is that I had to go through my holistic healing journey. A lot of people's bodies are fucked up with all sorts of diets, with so much restriction, with overtraining constantly, with gut issues, with hormonal imbalances, and all of that stuff. If your gut is messed up, if you have hormonal imbalances, if your body is not properly functioning, it's inevitable that your body is going to manifest those results, right? It's literally a direct reflection. So a lot of people will have all this excess weight and they can't figure out, or not like a ton, but like, let's say those pesky 5 pounds or whatever it may be, your body's gonna hold on to that because it doesn't feel safe, because there's so much inflammation going on internally, because there are imbalances. So something to really, really look at is, where is your gut health at? Where are your hormones at? Where is your, and by hormones, yes, I mean like your estrogen and progesterone and testosterone and stuff like that. But also, what about your cortisol? Right? What about, which is your stress hormone, right? Are you battling stress constantly? Are you in a state of having some adrenal fatigue? As women, if we're constantly stressed out, that's going to massively affect the inflammation that's going on in our bodies, which is going to directly then impact how much our bodies are going to work against us. So we really have to look at, where is our actual health, not just how our bodies look. Because if we're perpetually trying to out-exercise a internal imbalance, it's never gonna work. We're gonna continue to create more dis-ease and inflammation and distraction for ourselves. We're gonna constantly be in this fight with our own bodies, right? We want to come to this place of working in synergy with ourselves and being in a place of unity, mind, body, spirit, so that we can maintain, right? That's how our bodies are just supposed to be able to maintain at our natural, beautiful weight, our natural point of health, right? So if it's not, there's something else going on. Number two, and this goes hand in hand, whenever our bodies are functioning properly and whenever we are in a place of unity with our bodies, whenever we start to want to work with our bodies, we actually don't need to be on a diet. We don't need to obsessively count our calories or our macros. I counted macros for around 3 years, and I was very, very restrictive, and I was eating IIFYM, meaning that I was following some macros that I thought were proper based on, what you see online, and what was like given to me based on my numbers, which is based on this premise that you're supposed to have 1,010,000 carbs and like 0 fat, and that is what really was fucking up my entire system. You guys can go back and listen to my holistic healing journey video, and I talked about that in terms of my blood sugar, gut health, hormones, etc. But I was very obsessive with counting macros. However, I did learn what proper portion sizes looked like and all of that. So now I have a really great sense of like what a serving size is and all that sort of stuff. But the reality is that we aren't supposed to sit there and obsessively track our macros and our calories for the rest of our life. We should be able to intuitively gauge what our bodies need, what our body is craving, and really use food as nourishment. So whenever we start to heal our relationship with our body and heal our relationship to ourselves and really come to this place of wanting to work with our bodies, we can then start to do this mode of intuitive eating, which is, the way that we are supposed to operate. This really requires, like I said, you wanting to be in a place of unity with your body and being willing to have massive trust with yourself, with your body. And this was the hardest thing for me dealing with eating disorders, to just eat intuitively and just trust that my body was, that I wasn't eating too much. It's still a struggle sometimes. Sometimes I still restrict, and it's because of my mindset, right? But it's a work in progress. But intuitive eating has been just the most beautiful journey. And I sit here and I maintain my body all the time, because I'm not basing what I eat based on numbers. I'm basing it on what my body is telling me that it needs and that what it wants, and it's based on nourishment over everything. You don't have to constantly track your macros. You don't have to sit with MyFitnessPal for hours every single day. You don't have to follow a diet plan that you hate. You can eat intuitively and still maintain a really lean, toned, healthy physique year-round. In terms of the exercise side of things, so I have been training in the gym properly since I was about 17. I did a few half marathons before that, and before that I was doing like obsessive exercise addiction, cardio sort of stuff whenever I was really heavily struggling with anorexia. So I've been training and exercising for a very long time, but I started properly training in the gym whenever I was 17. That's whenever I fell in love with weightlifting, and I actually got my personal training certification. So I have a really big knowledge base and history in terms of my training. I used to way overtrain, and I thought it was normal though, because of the influences that I was looking at online. This fucked me over in terms of my actual health. And again, go back to my holistic healing journey video, and I talk about how I was way overtraining, but I thought that it was normal. But it was also from this really disordered relationship with myself, with body, and with food. Our bodies thrive with movement. Movement is literally medicine. But the problem comes in whenever we start to use movement as a punishment, whenever we are constantly overworking ourselves. Remember when I said, do you see my tongue? She looks so funny. Okay, so remember whenever I said that I was like way overtraining and that stress creates inflammation in the body? Movement, even though exercise is so good for us, it is still a stressor. So if we are training too hard or too much or too intensely, we're actually gonna battle our bodies. Especially as females, if we are overtraining our bodies, we are going to start battling and working against ourselves. Although exercise is beautiful and amazing and so good for us, it's also a stress to our bodies. And if we as women are already so stressed out, and depending on where we are in our cycle, our period menstrual cycle, we can really, if we're overtraining and if we're like doing a HIIT workout, for example, or a really like intense session, we're actually going to start gaining weight and creating more inflammation and working against ourselves and storing more fat in our bodies, because our body thinks that we are being chased by a saber-toothed tiger, that it is absolutely not safe and it needs to store everything. So this is a place where most people are struggling, is that they are way overtraining, thinking that training is going to, burn more fat, burn more calories. But in all actuality, we are so stressed out. Our body's in a chronic state of inflammation or resistance or dis-ease or whatever it may be, and we're trying to add more training on top of that, and like stressing ourselves out so much. Our hormones get way imbalanced, our cortisol goes all over the place, and guess what? Our body is storing more fat, more inflammation, and things start to just go crazy, and we get really stuck and frustrated. So exercise is great. Exercise is beautiful, but we really need to check in with ourselves and cut out the extremes and learn, again, intuitively, what is best for us specifically. Now, in this case, it'd probably be best to work with a coach or someone that actually pays attention to females and how their cycles work, because we do need to exercise differently depending on where we are in our cycle in order to really work with our body and be in that place of unity. But we need to realize that overtraining is going to cause us to actually just go crazy up and down. So for myself personally, I had to cut out the extremes. And for myself, like I said, with my holistic healing journey, I actually stopped training as much. So now I only do 4, maybe 5 training sessions per week. And then the rest is like really, like I'll do long walks outside or yoga or something else. I still do movement every single day because, like I said, movement is medicine and our bodies need to move, and it's so good to move energy through our bodies, whether that be dancing, yoga, walking. Those are all really great, ways to move our bodies and be in that state of flow. But whenever it comes to the really intense workouts, doing too much is actually going to cause harm for you and for your body in the way that you look and the way that you feel. So we have to cut out the extremes and find whatever is going to work best and feel best to us personally. It kind of just goes in the same exact way with the way in which you're eating. Diets create short-term results, right? This is a lifestyle, not a diet. So figure out what feels good to you, what's gonna work for you. Start small, build up, and be prioritizing your health above all else. Now, this last one is a little bit woo-woo, but I attribute most of my success to this. So here's the thing. The reason why a lot of people fail on their diets or their commitments or their goals or whatever, the reason why we're going up and down is because our actions aren't aligned with our mindset. So the way that this whole thing works, with the way that we act as humans, is that whatever we believe to be true, our actions are going to follow that, right? A lot of people go into this whole, trying to look a certain way with their body. They think, okay, what am I gonna eat? How am I gonna exercise? What is the action that I can take? And that is great, and we do have to take action, obviously. But action-based plans get us nowhere if we aren't working on our mindset. Because the reality is that if those two things aren't aligned, you will continuously self-sabotage and never actually get to that end result. And then we just fall into this trap of feeling like we're not good enough, that we're never gonna get to our goals, that this is it just doesn't work for me, whatever it may be. And that's not true. We just need to do some mindset work. I always say that the reality is that my entire body follows my mind. And I maintain my body year round because I just believe that that's just who I am, and that I am a fit, healthy person. And I believe that deep down to my core. Therefore, my body follows and my actions follow. Because at the core of it, all of our actions stem back to our thoughts. The way that this works is that our thoughts create our emotions or our feelings or our energy, which determines the action that we take and ultimately determines the results that we get. So if you're not getting the results that you want, if you're constantly going up and down, yeah, most of us are gonna say, oh, well, I'm not exercising enough, or oh, I need to diet down more. But really, there's this magic over here that we actually need to address that's actually going to change the entire cycle and get us a very, very different result with much more ease. So can you see that whenever we start to work on our mindset and we start to utilize, like really this is law of attraction shit, but if we start to work on our mindset and if we start believing that this is just who we are now, that this is just the way that it is, that's whenever we start to achieve those results with so much more ease. So our mindset is everything. And mindset, going back to everything that I've been talking about, this is a lifestyle, right? And if it's a lifestyle, this is just who you are. And if this is just who you are, it's just how you live. It's just how you eat. It's just how you are, right? So it's all goes back to mindset at the end of the day. And it's a commitment to yourself. It's a commitment to your wellness. It's a commitment to being the version of you that you know you're meant to be. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I really hope that you had some beautiful takeaways. And if you did, make sure to comment down below. Let me know what your favorite point was, or what you resonate most with, or what you are doing to maintain your own body, health, and wellness year round. So that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you on the next one.